Hi, Trapnest here. Welcome to my 28 Days Later music production course, where I will be teaching you everything you need to know to become a full-time music producer, from creating entire songs to developing your own brand and creating a business plan. In the last video, I showed you how to use panning to make your song sound big and wide, and today I'll be talking about equalization. If you're new to these videos, please make sure to check the other videos in this course, that way we can be on the same page. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram for more content like this. Okay, so what's EQ? This is the process of changing the balance in the frequencies of an audio signal. Let's load a EQ8 from our sound effects tab. Okay, so these numbers here represent the frequency range. It's usually from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz because that's the range that human ear can listen to. There are some ears that can listen to frequencies better than others, but in general, 20 to 20 kHz is our range. So now check the frequency range of our hi-hats during the hook. You see, it's not like the hi-hat only has one frequency, but rather it's a range that goes from, let's say, around 3.5K to around 14K. Now, there are areas where the sound is louder, like for example, the loudest point will be around 8K, 7.75 to 8K. EQing more than any other process in mixing is extremely subjective. There are guidelines that we can follow, but in the end, the way that you EQ depends on what sounds do you have in your project. What I want to do is use Subtractive EQ. That is one of the main two ways that you can EQ. The other one will be additive EQing. So in Subtractive EQ is all about creating a balance by reducing frequencies that might be a little bit too loud or that might be in the way of our objectives for the mixing. General rule of thumb is that every single sound that is not a kick or a bass sound, you are gonna cut all the frequencies under 90 or 80 Hz. So we can leave that space only for our subs and our kicks, and they can sound really clean. So that's the first thing that we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and let's load a EQ on every single track. Okay, now let's go ahead and play our main melody during the hook. Let's see what happens here. You see that we have a huge bump in frequencies under 60 Hz. So what we're gonna do here is apply what's called a high pass filter. You're gonna select here and you're gonna select this one, high pass filter. And what this does is that you select the frequency where you want to cut. Like for example, I'm selecting here 90 Hz, and everything under 90 Hz is gonna be cut. Now listen to it. So this is how it sounds with EQ, without EQ. It's a subtle change, but it's gonna help. So let's go ahead and do the same for all the other melodies. Let's apply a high pass filter on 90 Hz. Okay, now I want to create some space in the low frequencies for the bass line and for the kick. They share a lot of the lower frequencies, and when you leave them untreated, the low frequencies in your song, the vibration, if you will, that you hear when you listen to your music in your car, will sound kind of muddy. It won't have a defined shape. Okay, let's expand our view here. Selecting on the arrow. By the way, I'm using glasses because I cannot see crap here without my glasses, and there are a lot of tiny numbers. But anyway, once you move your cursor, it will tell you the frequency that you have. That's a really useful feature that this EQ has. So let's solo only the drums and the 808. Now you see that our kick has a big bump around 50 Hz. Now let's move to the 808 and let's see what's happening here. Now you see this note that has the highest peak, the frequency that has the highest peak, that's gonna be like kind of the main note. And now you notice how this note, this main note for the bass, it's on 54 Hz. The highest peak on the kick is on 50 Hz. In this case, I want to cut around this area on the kick. That way our 808 will have more space. So let's go ahead and let's reduce this. When you are cutting frequencies, make sure to cut between 3 at most 4 dBs. If you do any more than that, then our sounds are gonna be a little bit weird. So let's move it here. Okay, let's select minus 3.5 dB. And now I'm gonna change the Q here to change how wide I'm cutting. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing, but the other way around. I'm gonna try to find the main frequency of our kick. In this case, I want the thump in the kick to be our main frequency. Now, I cannot see that frequency I'm looking for with my eyes, so instead, I'm gonna use my ears in this case. Let's reduce the Q here of our filter number 3. And now I'm gonna do what's called a sweeping EQ. Now I'm gonna sweep across the frequencies until I feel like my kick loses its impact. Okay, definitely I feel like around the 140 area. You see, that little thumb is the frequency that I want for the kick. So let's just mute this frequency band and let's go to our EQ. And now we are gonna cut around 140 here. Okay, that's way too much. So let's do only like 3.5, same way we did for the kick. And we are gonna make our Q around there. Definitely I feel like the bass is much cleaner now. There's not much of a rumble anymore. We could keep working on making more space for the lower frequencies, but you get the idea. Okay, before we move on, we have to make sure to do something similar for the kick on the drums on the verse. Remember, that's a different drum. And next thing will be just to make some space between our melodic elements. So we can actually go ahead and create a bus for all our melodies. I'm gonna select all 4 of them and then group tracks. And I'm just gonna name this melody bus. Let's go back to our drums and I meant to name this drums bus or drum bus. Okay, I'm gonna solo my main melody. Okay, I feel like around that area, 1.7 is where the meat of our melody is. So, as you can see, there's not much going on around 1.7. So it's still good to apply a bit of Subtractive Eq just to make our mix a little bit cleaner. Okay, I like how it sounds. It's really subtle change. Let me play the reference. The last thing I want to do here is let's just move to the last hook and we are gonna EQ our lead. You see, there are some low frequencies here, so let's apply a high pass filter here. Okay, I feel like cutting around 350 is good. Now, I also want to cut a little bit around 1.7. That was the main frequency of our main melody. Okay, let's see how it sounds now. EQing is just the process of subtle changes. At least that's the way I like to do it. And I feel like at this point, I'm really happy with my EQing. Remember, this is just the first phase of the EQing, the subtractive. I'm gonna add additive EQ, but that's gonna be at the end of the mixing. What I want to do before that is the compression and the reverbs. That will be all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. And remember, if you like this content, make sure to like this video. It helps me a lot. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram for more content like this. And I'll see you in the next one.